Welcome and thanks for being here. Today I'm going to show you how to bring everything into one place with one clear plan so nothing important is left scattered or forgotten. By the end, you'll be ready to organise your vital documents, important information, understand why families struggle when information isn't clear or can't be found, and think about any decisions you still need to make. And see how you can bring everything into one place with a clear structure and a simple plan of action so life becomes easier now and far less stressful for the people around you later. Just a quick note, this webinar is for general guidance only and not legal or financial advice. We're going to start with going through a what-if quiz together. Just 6 questions to see how prepared things really are and to highlight a few things you may not have thought about yet. You can make a mental note of your answers in your head, jot them down, or pause this video and use the drop-downs below. There's no right or wrong answers. It just helps you see where things are at the moment. After the quiz, I'll share a little of my own story and why some of the situations highlighted in the quiz caused me so much stress, took so long to work through, and ended up costing far more time and money than they should have. Then I'll show you a practical way to organise your life admin, clarify your wishes, and think through your future planning. And finally, I'll show you a simple next step you can take if you'd like a clearer plan. Now, let's find out how prepared you really are with the What If quiz. Question 1. If for any reason someone suddenly had to step into your shoes, could they quickly find the important things they would need, such as logins, passwords, PINs, account details, secret questions and answers? Would you say 1, yes, everything is clearly organised and easy to find, or 2, maybe some things are written down, but not everything, or 3, no, they would struggle to find what they need? So if you're not sure what secret questions are, sometimes they are called memorable bits of information too. Passwords are a great example. If you lose one and can't find it, you might have to give an answer to a secret question that gives you authority. So when you are trying to log in, the system knows it's really you before sending you the password or allowing you to reset it to gain access. Very few people actually write these things down. The same goes for what authenticator app we use and other security steps. We try to just keep it all in our heads, and often we forget them. And sometimes we go looking for bits of information like that we know we do have, but it takes ages to find them. So this isn't only about the people who might need to step in for you one day, it's about us day to day trying to quickly lay our hands on information we need. We can end up wasting a surprising amount of time just hunting around for these sorts of things. I know, I definitely have. Okay, let's move on and take a look at question 2 about assets and debts. Do you have a clear record of what you own and what you owe? And does someone who might need to step in know where to find that information? So many families spend days, if not weeks, if not months, trying to piece someone's finances together during an illness or after a loss. And sometimes they're not even sure they've found everything. Would you say, yes, everything is clearly recorded and easy to find? Or are you maybe some things are written down, but not everything, and it's not in one place? Or are you no, it would probably be difficult for someone else to work it all out? This isn't just about the obvious things like your house or your car. It can include items like jewelry, collectibles, wine, collections, rare books, comics, stamps, or other valuables that may be worth a significant amount. It can also include investments that might be scattered across different accounts, and of course things like pensions. Debts are just as important. Some loans are obvious, like a bank loan or a car financing loan, but others may not be so clear. Sometimes payments just go out of a bank account each month and nobody else would really know what they relate to without a big search. And then there are informal loans, perhaps money borrowed from a family member or a close friend. Often these types of arrangement are never written down. If something happens and someone else needed to help out, there may be nothing recorded to show that that loan ever existed. That can create confusion and sometimes real tension and a risk of heated arguments for the people trying to sort things out for you. So this question is really about visibility. Would someone else be able to see the full picture of your assets and debts if they needed to? And that may include any type of small business or trust you run. Now, here's a question that trips a lot of people up. Are your photos, videos, and important documents safe? Or would they disappear if your cloud subscriptions ended or access was lost? Are you 1, yes, everything important is backed up and protected? Or 2, maybe some things are stored safely, but not everything? Or are you a 3? No, a lot could be lost. Let's look at your photos, videos, and important digital documents. Are they safely stored, or could they disappear if a cloud subscription ended? Option 1 is yes, everything important is backed up and protected. Option 2 is maybe some things are stored safely, but not everything. And option 3 is no, a lot of those files could easily be lost. You may not even realize that you're already using cloud storage. For example, if you have a laptop that has a Microsoft account on, you'll probably have OneDrive. And if you use Google services, you may have Google Drive. These platforms store documents, photos, videos online when your devices start running out of space. The challenge is many of us store huge amounts of information there without really thinking about what would happen if the account stopped being active, if a subscription ends or payments stop. These accounts can eventually close and the information stored there can disappear. That could include important documents, family photos, or videos that meant a lot to you, along with thousands of pictures of holidays, pets, meals, and random screenshots that seemed important at the time. And of course, when we've gone off to our own little cloud in the sky, the storage clouds down here on Earth may not keep running forever unless someone is managing your accounts. Probate can also take a long time to complete, sometimes more than a year, and during that time, subscriptions may lapse and valuable information could be lost. So the real question here is whether your most important digital memories and documents are properly protected and easy for someone else to find, or whether they might end up sending your family on a rather frustrating digital treasure hunt. Okay, let's move on to another important area, legal documents. Do you have the key documents in place, and could your executors or attorneys easily find them if they needed to? For example, things like your will and your power of attorney. Just take a moment to think about that before choosing your answer. Are you 1, yes, everything is up to date and easy to locate, or 2, maybe some documents exist, but they might not be easy for others to find, or 3, no, these things are not organised yet. And just to say, you're definitely not alone if you pick number 3. Around half of all people don't actually have a will, so please don't feel like the naughty finger is pointing at just you. Most people understand what a will is, but a power of attorney is just as important because it gives someone the legal authority to act on your behalf if needed. There are different types. A general power of attorney allows someone to act for you under your instruction. For example, if you were travelling or temporarily unavailable. But If you were to lose mental capacity, that general power of attorney would no longer apply. In England and Wales, you would normally need what's called a lasting power of attorney. There are two types of lasting power of attorney, one that deals with financial and legal matters, and another that deals with health and medical decisions. And later on, I'll show you how documents like a living will fit into the picture as well, but we'll come back to that shortly. In Scotland, similar documents are called a continuing power of attorney and a welfare power of attorney. And in Northern Ireland, you may hear the term enduring power of attorney. If you're outside the UK, you may also hear terms like durable or enduring power of attorney. The names vary depending on the country or region, but the purpose is the same. It allows someone you trust to make decisions for you if you're no longer able to make them yourself. Without those documents in place, the people closest to you might not actually have the legal authority to act for you, even if they know exactly what you would have wanted. In England and Wales, healthcare professionals must make decisions in a person's best interest under the Mental Capacity Act 2005 if there's no health power of attorney in place. And financial matters may require legal authority through the Court of Protection. Scotland and Northern Ireland have similar legal frameworks under their own legislation. To stress again, without these documents in place, decisions can end up being made through legal or medical systems rather than by the people you would have chosen. It's also worth reviewing your legal documents every few years to make sure they still reflect your wishes, your current circumstances, and that the people you've appointed are still willing and able to take on those roles. This is simply a short guide that helps you understand some of the terminology and the things that you might want to think about before speaking to a solicitor or a will writer. A lot of people go to see a legal professional without really knowing what questions to ask or what decisions they need to make first. That can make the process longer and sometimes more expensive than it needs to be. So the purpose of this guide is really just to help you feel more prepared before having to make those decisions or review what you already have. How do you actually sort, store and protect everything? Things like vital documents, important information and passwords. For most people, these are spread across several places, some on paper, some on devices, and some are stored online. And the challenge is that this information changes over time. Documents get updated, accounts change, passwords change, and new information gets added. So whatever system you use needs to work not just today, but over many years as life evolves. Then there's another question. How do you share that information safely with the right people? For example, attorneys, executors, trusted people, or sometimes family members and friends. You want them to be able to access what they need if something happens, but at the same time, you want that information to stay private and protected. What are your options? When people try to organise this, they usually end up using a mixture of different approaches. Some write things down in a notebook, others keep printed copies in a folder or a box at home. Some store information on their laptop, a USB drive, or in a password manager. These approaches can work, but they often end up spread across several places. And when it comes to sharing information, people often do that in different ways as well. Sometimes it's shared in person, sometimes sent by email, through messenger apps, or by sharing folders online. Occasionally, people make a copy on a USB drive for someone else to keep. And over time, it can become quite difficult to keep everything updated, secure, and easy to find. Later, I'll show you one way this can all be brought together in a more organised and secure way. Now let's move on to the next question, because this one's about something many people have talked about with family, but far fewer people have actually written down. Question 5. Let's think about healthcare decisions. If you had an accident or if your memory started to fade, have you decided what your healthcare preferences would be? And more importantly, who could speak for you and make sure those wishes were respected? Some people record their medical preferences in what's called a living will. That's different from the will that deals with your estate after you're gone. A living will focuses on medical decisions if you're unable to communicate your wishes, such as serious illnesses, dementia, or a major accident. In the UK, this can form part of what's known as advanced care planning documents, and in other countries, you might hear it called advanced directives. But they all aim to do the same thing, make your medical wishes clear. This can also include decisions such as a do not resuscitate instruction, sometimes called a DNA CPR or DNR, which is normally issued by a doctor. But many people don't realise that some of the things that matter most to them, like comfort, environment, or palliative care preferences, often sit outside the formal living will and form part of the wider advanced care planning conversations. These are the details that help people understand how you would want to be cared for and what matters most to you in different situations. To make this easier, we've created a simple DIY planning template that helps you think through different medical scenarios. And start recording your wishes before you ever go to a solicitor or create a formal document. It also gives you something practical to talk through with your family so everyone understands what you would want. Now, let's look at your final party, your last hurrah. Question 6. Have you actually recorded what you would want when the time comes? Are you, yes, my wishes are written down in detail, and maybe, I've talked about some things, but nothing is properly recorded, or no, nobody would really know what I would like? Most people assume their family will just know exactly what they want. For example, if you go to church, you might assume people know that you want a church service. But it's often a little more complicated than that because there are more options available these days than people realise. Some people choose burial, some cremation, but there are also greener options now. For example, you can have woodland burials, wicker coffins, or even something called a mushroom suit, which helps the body return naturally to the earth and sometimes has a tree planted above. It sounds unusual when you first hear about it, but quite a few people actually like that idea. I definitely do. You can also decide things like the music you'd like played, that's meaningful to you and others you've shared your life with, readings that matter, the kind of service you'd want, whether ashes should be scattered somewhere, say from the top of a mountain or off a Southend pier, or even turned into keepsake jewellery for family members. These are very personal choices, and although people often talk about them, they rarely write them down. The difference is that this level of detail normally isn't included in a will. A will might only say burial or cremation, but it wouldn't include the personal touches that make the day reflect who you are. When families are grieving, it can be hard to remember exactly what was said, and sometimes different family members remember different conversations that can lead to confusion or even disagreements at a time where everyone is already struggling. That's why we created this DIY template as part of the Life Ready Planner that helps you think through these options and record your wishes properly. It also comes with support notes, which include guidance and ideas for things like music, readings, memorial options, and different cultural or faith traditions, so you can decide what feels right for you. Some people even turn it into a thoughtful moment. They sit down with a cup of tea, maybe light a candle, pop some music on, and spend a little time reflecting on how they would like to be remembered. So the real question here is whether your wishes are clearly recorded and you have had those conversations with your family. Just take a moment and think about how you answered these questions. You might recognize yourself in one of these 3 groups. Some people are mostly yes, life-ready superstars. They've done quite a bit already and things are fairly organised, but I haven't really come across many of them yet. Some people are mostly maybes. They've started, but life gets busy and things never quite get finished. And a lot of people are mostly no. Not because they don't care, but because they really don't know where to begin or are completely overwhelmed. Wherever you landed, it's okay. Most people only realize how scattered things are when they stop and look at the whole picture like this. The good news is you don't need more information. What most people really need is a plan, a clear structure to work through so nothing important gets missed. Now, let's just think for a moment. What usually happens when nothing changes? It can be dramatic, but mostly it ends up being difficult for the people around us. Families can really spend weeks searching for documents or trying to access accounts. People are guessing passwords and trying to work out what someone would have wanted. Important decisions can be delayed because the paperwork isn't in place. Money can quietly disappear through missed accounts or subscriptions. And sometimes digital photos, videos, and memories are lost if cloud access ends. None of this is unusual. It's something families deal with every single day. When people ask why this matters to me, it's because of something that happened back in 2014. At that time, I was living in Australia and going about daily life quite happily. But over the course of a couple of months, I became very unwell. Eventually, I was rushed to hospital and flown into Sydney. I had one of those superbugs and my colon had become infected so badly that I'd gone into septic shock. I was blue lighted to the hospital and the doctors said there was very little they could do for me because my blood pressure and pulse were dangerously low. They pumped me full of antibiotics and said they would just have to see what happened. I remember looking to the nurse's eyes and thinking, I've left everything in such a mess. My family wouldn't know where to find anything. I hadn't written my life story, and worse still, I hadn't left messages for any of my kids. It was a very profound moment. I wasn't thinking about dying. I was thinking about what I would be leaving behind. Thankfully, the antibiotics worked, and I lived to tell the tale. But that experience stayed with me. And when I look back at other situations in my life, I realized how often missing information and unclear wishes cause real problems for families. When my father was dying, the doctors asked what should happen if he had a heart attack. Should they attempt resuscitation or not? My mother didn't want to make that decision, so it fell to us three sisters. We knew Dad was dying, but we had never talked to him about what he had wanted. It was an incredibly difficult moment and it caused a lot of stress between us. Then when my mum died years later, we couldn't find her will. It was over Christmas, the solicitors had closed and it took nearly a month to locate a copy. During that time, there was confusion, delays and disagreements just because the information wasn't easy to find. Then there was my father-in-law. He passed away suddenly at the age of 63, and my mother-in-law came to live with us for a while. She handed my husband a shoebox full of information and said, "Sort it." So we did everything properly. We went to a solicitor and organised everything carefully. But just 9 months later, she met someone new who unfortunately turned out to be quite an unsavoury character. He introduced her to gambling and had a criminal background. We eventually ended up in court being accused of being elder abusers. Even though we had originally been asked to manage things, we had very few digital traceable records. It cost us tens of thousands defending ourselves, took 3 years out of our lives, time we should have spent with our young children. In the end, we stepped away completely and gave everything back to her, so we were no longer involved. Within 3 years, she had lost her home, and within 6 years, all of her money was gone. Very sadly, she also became estranged from her only son and 3 grandchildren. All of these experiences showed me something very clearly. When information isn't organized and when wishes aren't written down, it can create enormous stress, confusion, and even conflict for families. The reason I share these stories isn't to dwell on the difficult experiences, it's because these situations are often avoidable when information is organized and when wishes are clearly recorded. And that's really what today is about, not looking backwards, but looking forwards and making sure the important things in your life are easy to manage and easier to find. By this point, you'll probably started to notice there are quite a few different areas of your life that need a bit of attention. Documents, finances, passwords, wishes, people who may need to step in. It can feel like a lot if you try to think about it all at once. That's exactly why we created the Life Ready Planner. Instead of trying to sort everything out in one go, it breaks it down into step-by-step toolkits, so you can work through one area of your life at a time. There's a clear structure so nothing important gets missed, and it also helps you record your wishes so that the right people can act if they ever need to. Most people just spend a focused hour at a time working through it at their own pace. And to make sure nothing important gets overlooked, the planner is organized into 12 practical toolkits. Each toolkit focuses on one area at a time, so you never feel overwhelmed. You simply work through the step-by-step organizing documents, assets, debts, guarantees, insurances, business matters, passwords, digital storage, the other people and pets you care for, inheritance plans, who gets what, healthcare decisions, and finally, your parting wishes, your last hurrah. You don't have to do everything at once. You just move forward one clear step at a time. And something interesting happens when people start doing this. Everyday life becomes easier because you always know where things are. There's also an optional basic vault where you can store key records and passwords if you'd like a secure digital place for them.
To store your records, press Jars, then Things Jars. Along the top, you'll see 6 jars to store different types of items in: personal certificates, vital documents, important information, business essentials if you run a small business, real-life things, and significant bits and pieces. You can either edit a sample record or add a new one. When adding or editing, you choose which jar it belongs in. For each item, you can also decide who can see it using the secret keeper settings. Then, using the time lock, you can choose whether the item is shown in Life, Legacy, or both. Add up to 10 files here: PDFs, images, voice notes, and video. The password jars. They're designed for storing passwords, as well as any other fragmented bits of information. All those small but important details that are often scattered or hard to find. There are 8 jars to help you organize everything clearly: email accounts, social media and gaming, tech and devices, stores and services, official and government, banking and finance, business essentials, and other. Add a new entry, using the password capture screen. That also has the secret keeper and time lock settings. At the end, there's an instruction box where you can leave clear guidance, anything someone might need to know to use or understand that piece of information properly. As well as setting permissions for individual records and passwords, you can also invite trusted people, such as your power of attorney or executors or family members, to be your My LifeJars guardians. These are the people you trust to step in and manage your information if something happens to you. You can assign them access to your jars as a whole, choosing from no access, read only, or full access, depending on what you're comfortable with. Once your life profile is transitioned to a legacy profile, when you eventually pass on, your profile can be accessed and managed by your designated guardians. This ensures that your important information, records, passwords, and memories are preserved and accessible to the people you trust most, providing clarity and continuity without any concern about ongoing subscriptions or access being lost.
Are your vital records, important information, and passwords securely stored? With the Vault, the answer is yes. We've developed patented encryption technology designed for long-term data protection, helping keep personal information secure even as new technologies like quantum computing emerge. Your information remains private, stored with UK data residency, and shared only with the people you choose. We at My LifeJars cannot even read it. Many people use the planner on its own, and that works perfectly well. But if you want everything stored securely online and accessible to the right people, the Vault makes that possible. Most people tell me the same thing. Once they've worked through this, they feel an enormous sense of relief because everything finally has a place. The full Life Ready Planner is £197. That includes the complete step-by-step toolkits, all 12 practical toolkits, and the optional basic vault for key records and passwords. All 12 toolkits are unlocked immediately, so you can begin straight away and work through them at your own pace. And just so you can try it with confidence, there's a simple 30-day refund promise. If you use the planner and don't feel clearer or more organised, just let us know within 30 days and we'll give you a full refund. No forms and no pressure. So I'll leave you with one simple thought. If something unexpected did happen, would you feel better knowing everything was ready? Because the alternative is often a bit of a scavenger hunt, with people searching through drawers, folders, and accounts, trying to piece things together. When everything is organised in one place with one clear plan, life becomes easier day to day. You can quickly find what you need, update things as life changes, and carry on knowing it's all taken care of. And there's a real sense of relief that comes from knowing it's done and dusted and that people around you won't be left trying to solve a puzzle. You don't have to do everything today. The important thing is simply having a clear place to begin. The real question is simply, would you like that sense of clarity to start? If the answer is yes, you can begin your Life Ready Planner today.